Welcome back. So today we are talking about step 4, which is just choosing your landscape image and editing it, getting it all ready to go so that you can start painting it soon. So with that, first thing, you need to make sure that your image meets the requirements. These requirements are set in place just because it's going to make it way easier on you, and it's going to make sure that you're able to show me all the skills that I need to see. So the first requirement is that you have clear 3 parts of your landscape. That means you should have something in the back, something in the middle ground, and then something in the foreground. Really important that you have at least those. And if you're unsure, let me know. You can always send me a picture and ask. But that's just really important to make sure that you're not just doing like a cloud on like some clouds on a sky or something, that you're getting some complexity with your image. The next thing is, and the variety of color doesn't matter as much, but usually when you have a variety of color, you also have a variety of contrast. And so we need to be able to see dark and light and medium tones on your image. That's really important because if it's all super duper dark, then you're not gonna be able to paint any details. Same thing if it's all super duper light, you're not gonna have that many details. So you need a nice range in order to have a nice balanced image to paint and reference. The next one is that it's not too simple. So that's partly why we have 3 different parts of your landscape. You want it to have some intricacies. There's a balance to that. You don't need too many, and if you get something that's super complicated, then you can simplify, but it does need to have somewhere between not too simple and not too complicated. So I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. And finally, make sure you're not just Googling an image. Make sure you are choosing an image that matters to you. Maybe it's a photo that you've taken previously on a vacation back when we could take vacations, or maybe it's a photo that you've taken somewhere local, or maybe it's a photo that somebody else has taken or someplace you want to go. That's all completely up to you. Just make sure that the photo has meaning to you and it's not just like you Google landscape and that's what you get, okay? Once you have an image, here's some examples of what's complicated and then too simple. So this one on the left has a lot going on, which these are collages, not watercolors, but you get the idea. There's all these different buildings. There's like all these different boats and people and a hot air balloon and a plane, and there's a lot happening. Whereas the one on the right has like a hill and some ground and a sky and a board. So make sure you get a nice variety somewhere in the middle. So here is the image that I chose. It's right here. It is not one that I took. It's one that I had found a while back and I had used because it reminded me of a place in Colorado that I had been before, and I thought it was beautiful. And I've used it for other projects, so I thought it might be kind of fun to try it for this one. And then I'm going to show you here in a second how to edit that. And so we're going to edit it so that it is monochromatic as well, which is going to make it way easier to paint from, because then you're just going to be mimicking the values that you see in the monochromatic. So let's go ahead and do that. In order to do that, the first thing you need to do is you are going to go down and you are going to pull up something called Publisher. So Publisher is a Microsoft program that's already loaded on all of our computers. So if you search it, you should be able to find it. It's awesome to be able to print. It's basically Microsoft Word for photos. You can edit this in Photoshop too if you wanted to, but Publisher is way faster. So that's what I'm going to show you to do. So when you open it up, you have a couple different options to get a new one. And so if I know my image is landscape, then I'm going to switch to that. If yours is portrait, which it might be, then switch to portrait. But mine's landscape, so I'm opening up a blank landscape. Once I have that opened up, Then I need to go ahead and just paste my image in there. And so I should have it, I have it pulled up. I'm gonna right click. And then I'm going to copy and paste. So here we go. I just Control V, but you can also right click and paste it in, or you can go to Insert and insert the picture if it's saved on your computer. Once you have it there, then you want to stretch it out so it fills the space. So I'm going to crop mine down a little bit because I don't need it to be that big. Another thing you can do is if you go to Page Design, Margins, you can make the margins really narrow, which will give you a little more space. And then if you double click on the image, usually it lets you crop. Here, let's just go up here to crop. There's always a couple ways to do everything. And I'm going to crop it in so that it fills that space. Because this paper is very similar to the same size that I'm going to use, that allows me to crop it down and make sure that like the proportions and everything are accurate. I might even kind of pull it over because I think I want to see these trees. The trees represent my foreground. These like smaller trees and the lake represents my middle ground, and then the mountains and the sky represent my background. So I have everything on there. Press enter when you're all done, or click off of it. There we go. Okay, so now I want to turn it to monochromatic. So if I click on the image, it gives me this option up here that says Picture Tools and Format. That's where all the good stuff is. So I'm going to click on that. And then here are the two main options that I'm going to use. I'm going to recolor it, and it automatically has some on here. So if I know I want to do, maybe you just want to do black and white values, I could hit it to grayscale. If I wanted to do like a sepia kind of look, I could go here if I like this blue. But I like to go to more variation and then down here to more colors, and I like to pick something. So what I did is I knew I wanted to do like, I think deep blues and like turquoisey blues look really cool. So I went here and I picked one. I could also go over to standard, and I have lots of options here as well. And so maybe I like that one. Darker colors are going to work better for this. If you try and do something super light, like a yellow, it's hard to see. You don't really see that contrast. So I'll come back in. I just want to show you that. And I'm going to go to like a darker blue, and now I get tons of contrast. I know it looks good. I'm good to go. Another thing I can do is I can go to corrections, and I can like edit how much contrast there is here as well. So here is where my picture is, but by moving it around here, it's adjusting the brightness and contrast. So sometimes just going straight down, I get some darker areas and some lighter areas, and I think I like that. Okay, once I'm done, if you have a printer at home, you can just print this off and have it next to you as a reference. If you don't have a printer, then just save it. And you can even save it as a JPEG so that you can just pull it up later. And that's a great way to do it so that you just always have it on your computer to be able to reference. Call this Colorado, and I can change this to JPEG. So it's just an image. And then it's there for me to pull up whenever I want it. Okay. And that's it. Your reference photo will be ready, and you can start painting soon.